At 6:47 in the morning on February the 17th, 1940, Private Yuri Volkov walked into a forest that would kill him in 4 minutes. He did not know it yet. The temperature was minus 43 degrees Celsius, cold enough that breath froze in the air, cold enough that exposed skin turned black in minutes, cold enough that rifle bolts jammed if you did not keep them warm against your body. Yuri was 19 years old. He had been a soldier for 4 months. Before that, he worked in his father's blacksmith shop in Kharkiv, Ukraine. He was the youngest of 5 children. His mother had cried when the conscription notice arrived. His sister Katya had given him a photograph of them both standing in front of their small house. He carried that photograph in his coat pocket now. Behind Yuri, 11 Soviet soldiers followed in single file. They moved slowly through the deep snow. Their boots crunched with each step, the sound carried in the frozen air. Each man carried a Mosin Nagant rifle. Most had scopes, PU scopes with 3.5 times magnification. Standard issue for infantry in the Soviet army. They had been sent to find something the Soviets called Belaya Smert, White Death. Soviet intelligence said White Death was a team of 6 to 8 Finnish snipers operating in the Kolar sector. They said these snipers had killed hundreds of Soviet soldiers in the past 2 months. They said the snipers were ghosts, invisible, impossible to find. Soviet intelligence was wrong about one thing. It was not a team of 6 to 8 snipers. It was one man. His name was Simo Heiher. He was 5 feet 3 inches tall. He weighed 150 pounds. He was 34 years old. He was a farmer. Before the war, he grew rye and potatoes on land his father rented near the Russian border. He had never wanted to be a soldier. He had never wanted to kill anyone. But the Soviet Union had invaded his country, and Simo Heiher was very good at killing. 150 meters from where Yuri walked, Simo lay in a snowdrift. He had been in this position for 4 hours. He wore white winter camouflage over his standard Finnish army uniform. His rifle was a Mosin Nagant M28-30, Finnish modification of the Russian original. Better trigger, better sights, better stock. The rifle had no telescopic scope, just iron sights. 2 metal posts at the front, a notch at the rear. Simple, reliable, fast. Simo preferred iron sights. Every other sniper in the Finnish army requested scopes. Simo refused them. His instructors thought him stubborn. They did not understand. Scopes fogged in extreme cold. Scopes created glare in sunlight. Scopes required you to raise your head higher, creating a larger silhouette. And scopes added 1.3 seconds to target acquisition time. In combat, 1.3 seconds meant death. Simo could acquire a target and fire in 1.5 seconds with iron sights. With a scope, the average was 2.8 seconds. That difference had kept him alive for 79 days of war. That difference had allowed him to kill 387 Soviet soldiers without being hit once. Now he watched 12 more Soviet soldiers approach through his iron sights. The lead soldier was visible at 160 meters, then 150, then 140. Simo controlled his breathing, slow, steady, in through the nose, out through barely parted lips. His heartbeat was 62 beats per minute, normal, calm, the same heartbeat he had when he woke up in the morning, the same heartbeat he had when he went to sleep at night. Killing did not raise Simo Heiher's heartbeat. He exhaled slowly. Between heartbeats he squeezed the trigger. The Mosin Nagant barked once. The sound was muffled by snow and distance. To the Soviet soldiers it sounded like a branch breaking. Nothing more. But this is how one Finnish farmer became the deadliest sniper in history. This is how he killed 542 Soviet soldiers in 98 days of war. This is how one man terrified an army of 1 million. If you want to understand how an invisible farmer broke the Soviet Union, You need to go back. Back to where it started. Back to a small town near the Russian border where a boy learned to shoot because if he missed his family, ate less that week. Back to December 17th, 1905. Simo Heiha was born in WWII, Finland, a farming village 30 kilometers from the Russian border. Population 380. One general store, one Lutheran church. No school past 8th grade, no electricity, no running water. The town was so small it did not appear on most maps. Simo's father was a tenant farmer. He did not own land. He rented 150 acres from a landowner who lived in Helsinki and had never seen the property. The rent was half the harvest. Every year, Simo's father planted rye and potatoes and hay. Every year, he gave half to the landowner. The other half fed 8 children through the winter. Simo was the second oldest of those 8 children. Money was something other people had. The Heiha family had land and work and each other. That was enough. Most years. But winters were long in eastern Finland. 7 months of snow. Temperatures that dropped to -30, -40 degrees. The growing season was 4 months, maybe 5 in a good year. You planted in May, you harvested in September, and you hoped you had grown enough to survive until next May. If you had not grown enough, you hunted. Simo's father taught him to shoot when he was 6 years old. The rifle was longer than Simo was tall, a single-shot .22 caliber. His father had bought it used from a neighbor for 3 Finnish marks. The stock was cracked, the sights were bent, but it fired. That was all that mattered. Winter, 1911. Simo was 6 years old. His father took him into the forest. The snow was waist-deep on Simo. He could barely walk. His father carried the rifle. They walked for an hour. Then his father stopped, pointed. 200 meters away, an elk stood at the edge of a clearing. A large bull, 300 kilograms of meat, enough to feed the family for 3 weeks. Simo's father handed him the rifle. The rifle was so heavy Simo could not hold it without resting the barrel on a fallen log. His father did not help him, did not adjust his grip, did not tell him how to aim. He said one thing: "If you miss the shot, family eats less that week." Simo aimed. The elk was a brown shape against white snow. He put the front sight on the elk's shoulder, held his breath, squeezed the trigger the way his father had shown him. The rifle kicked. His shoulder exploded in pain. He fell backward into the snow. When he sat up, the elk was down. His father walked to the elk, checked it. 1 shot, clean kill, heart and lungs. The elk had died before it hit the ground. His father said nothing. Approval was not words. Approval was family eating that winter. That was how Simo Heiha learned to shoot. Not for sport, not for competition, for survival. If you missed people you loved, went hungry. That lesson stayed with him every day for the next 34 years. Every day until he put his rifle down for the last time. Between age 6 and age 20, Simo hunted the forests around WWII more than 4,000 times. He knew every tree, every ridge, every clearing, every game trail. He knew where elk bedded down during the day, where deer came to drink at dawn, where foxes denned in winter. He could walk through that forest in complete darkness and never get lost. By age 12, he could shoot a running fox at 400 meters. By age 16, he could remain motionless in -30-degree cold for 4 hours waiting for a deer to move into position. By age 20, he was the best hunter in WWII. Other hunters in the village asked him how he did it, how he made shots they could not make, how he saw animals they could not see, how he remained so still for so long. Simo's answer was always the same: practice. 1 word. That was all. But the practice had given him something the Soviet army could not teach in any amount of training. It had given him the ability to memorize terrain. Not just remember it, memorize it. Every tree, every rock, every bush. When Simo walked through a forest, he created a map in his mind. Precise, perfect, photographic. And when something in that forest changed, he knew. If a tree was in a different position, he knew. If a rock had been moved, he knew. If snow was disturbed in a way it should not be, he knew. This skill would kill 140 Soviet soldiers who tried to camouflage artillery positions in forests Simo had memorized. But at age 20, Simo did not know he would become a soldier. He did not know he would become a killer. He thought he would be a farmer like his father. Rent land, plant rye, harvest in September, live quiet. Then, in 1925, he turned 20 years old. And Finland had a law. Every male citizen aged 21 had to serve 1 year in the military. The military service was not regular army. It was suojeluskunta, the civil guard, a volunteer defense organization that trained civilians for war, because Finland expected war. Russia had controlled Finland for more than 100 years, until 1917. The Russian Revolution. Lenin pulled Russia out of World War I. In the chaos, Finland declared independence, but independence was new. 8 years old when Simo entered service, and the threat from Russia was constant. The Soviet Union wanted Finland back. Everyone knew it. It was not a question of if, it was a question of when. So every Finnish male trained, learned to shoot, learned to move through forests, learned to fight. Simo entered Civil Guard service in April 1925. He was assigned to a unit based in Mihikkälä, 8 kilometers from his family farm. The training emphasized one thing above all others: marksmanship. Finnish military doctrine was simple. Finland had no tanks, no heavy artillery, no air force worth mentioning. What Finland had was forests, and men who knew how to shoot in those forests. Every soldier had to qualify at 3 ranges: 150 meters, 300 meters, 500 meters. Most soldiers struggled at 500 meters. The targets were small, the wind was unpredictable, the iron sights were difficult to use at that distance. Simo qualified at 500 meters with 72% accuracy. His instructors had never seen anything like it. At 300 meters, his accuracy was 89%. At 150 meters, 97%. The company commander called him in, asked him how he shot so well. Simo said, "Practice." The commander said, "Everyone practices." "What makes you different?" Simo thought about it. Then he said something that his instructors wrote in his service record. "I see what is there, not what I expect to see." The instructors did not fully understand what he meant, but they noted exceptional accuracy and unnatural calm under pressure. Simo completed his service in November 1926. He was 20 years old. He returned to farming. He thought his time as a soldier was over. He was wrong. For the next 13 years, Simo lived the most ordinary life in Finland. He worked his father's farm, planted rye in May, harvested in September, hunted in winter, attended Lutheran church on Sundays. He did not drink alcohol, he did not smoke, he did not gamble. He was quiet, reserved, unremarkable in every way except one: he could shoot. Simo attended shooting competitions, local matches at first, then regional, then national. He competed with the same Mosin Nagant M2830 rifle he had used in Civil Guard service. The rifle was his. He had bought it from the Finnish government for 200 Finnish marks when his service ended. Most competitors used scopes, expensive German optics, Zeiss, Hensoldt, 8 power, 10 power, 12 power magnification. Simo used iron sights, and he won anyway. Between 1926 and 1939, Simo won 17 regional shooting championships, 4 national championships, every single one with iron sights. Competitors asked him why he refused scopes. Scopes would improve his scores, make him even better. Simo's answer never changed. I see better without them. People thought he was joking, or stubborn, or too poor to afford a scope. They did not understand. Simo had learned something hunting elk and deer for 14 years. The animal that sees you first is the animal that survives. And scopes create glare. Scopes reflect sunlight. Scopes tell your prey exactly where you are. Simo did not want prey to see him. He wanted to be invisible. This philosophy would keep him alive for 98 days of combat. This philosophy would allow him to kill 542 Soviet soldiers without being detected until the very last day. But in 1939, Simo did not know there would be combat. He did not know there would be war. He was just a farmer who won shooting competitions on weekends. Then, November 30th, 1939 arrived. At 8 o'clock in the morning, Soviet artillery began shelling the Finnish border town of Mainila. Soviet Foreign Minister Vyacheslav Molotov claimed Finland had fired first. This was a lie. It was a false flag attack, a pretext. The Soviet Union wanted Finnish territory. Joseph Stalin had demanded Finland cede land near Leningrad. Strategic land, defensible land, land that would protect Leningrad from future invasion. Finland refused. Stalin was not accustomed to being refused. He ordered invasion. The Red Army deployed 1 million soldiers, 3,000 tanks, 2,500 aircraft. The invasion force was the largest military operation in Europe since World War I. Finland's entire military numbered 300,000 soldiers. No tanks, 114 aircraft. Most of those aircraft were obsolete trainers. The numerical advantage was overwhelming. 3 Soviet soldiers for every Finnish soldier. Infinite tanks versus 0 tanks. 22 Soviet aircraft for every Finnish aircraft. The world expected Finland to surrender within 2 weeks. Most military analysts predicted 1 week. Some said 3 days. Finland did not surrender. Finland fought. Simo Häyhä received his mobilization order on November 30th, 1939. The same day the invasion began. A courier delivered the notice to his farm at noon. Report to Civil Guard unit in Mihikkälä immediately. Bring rifle and winter gear. Simo packed his Mosin Nagant M2830. 400 rounds of ammunition, winter camouflage uniform, wool socks, dried meat, black bread, 2 canteens. He said goodbye to his family. His mother cried. His father did not. His father shook his hand, said one thing: do your duty. Simo arrived in Mihikkälä at 3 in the afternoon. His old Civil Guard unit was already assembling. They were now designated 6th Company Infantry Regiment 34, JR 34. The company commander was Captain Arne Utilainen, a career officer, 42 years old, veteran of the Finnish Civil War. Captain Utilainen briefed the company. You are deployed to Kolar River sector, 50 kilometers north. The Soviets are advancing from the east. If they cross the Kolar River, they will advance to Viipuri. Viipuri is Finland's second largest city. If Viipuri falls, Finland falls. Your mission is simple. Stop them. Kill anyone who tries to cross. Do not let them advance. The company deployed that night. 160 men. They marched 50 kilometers through snow in darkness. Temperature minus 28 degrees Celsius. They arrived at Kolar River at dawn on December 1st. The terrain was dense forest. Pine, spruce, birch. The Kolar River was frozen solid, a natural defensive line. Finnish positions were dug into the west bank. trenches, fighting positions, machine gun nests. The Soviets would attack from the east, and on December 7th they did. The Soviet 155th Rifle Division attacked at 6:30 in the morning. 14,000 Soviet soldiers versus 4,000 Finnish defenders. The Soviets used human wave tactics. Soviet military doctrine emphasized overwhelming numbers. Casualties were acceptable if the objective was taken. The first wave crossed the frozen Kola River at 6:30. Finnish machine guns opened fire. Maxim M0921 machine guns, 7.62 x 54 mm caliber, 600 rounds per minute. 800 Soviet soldiers died in the first hour. The survivors retreated, regrouped. The second wave attacked at 9 o'clock. 600 more Soviet soldiers died. The third wave attacked at 11. 500 more died. By nightfall on December 7th, 2,400 Soviet soldiers were dead. The Finnish defenders had suffered 68 casualties. The exchange ratio was 35-1. The Soviets had tanks, they had artillery, they had air support, but none of it mattered. The forest was too dense for tanks. The artillery could not see Finnish positions through the trees. The aircraft could not bomb what they could not see. What the Soviets had was soldiers walking into machine gun fire, and the Finns cut them down. Simo Heiha participated in the first battle as a standard rifleman. He was assigned to a defensive position on the riverbank. He fired 42 rounds during the 12-hour battle. He estimated 12 hits, not confirmed, just estimated based on seeing Soviet soldiers fall after he fired. But Simo noticed something during the battle, something that would change everything. The Soviet soldiers moved predictably. They followed roads and trails. They bunched together in groups. They exposed themselves in open areas. They did not use cover effectively. Simo had spent 14 years hunting elk and deer. He knew what happened to animals that moved predictably. They died. Soviet soldiers were moving like elk on trails. That meant Soviet soldiers could be hunted like elk. After the battle, Simo approached Captain Juutilainen. He made a request. He wanted to transfer from standard infantry to designated marksman role. Sniper. Captain Juutilainen asked why. Simo said, "I can kill more Soviets alone than in a squad." The captain thought him arrogant. Every soldier thought they were special. Every soldier thought they could do more damage operating independently. Captain Juutilainen said, "What makes you think that?" Simo said, "I have tracked animals for 14 years. Soviet soldiers move like animals. They follow trails. They bunch together. They expose themselves. I can kill them before they know I am there." The captain looked at Simo's service record. Exceptional marksmanship scores, national shooting champion, calm under pressure. The captain approved the request. On December 9th, 1939, Simo Heiha became a designated marksman. He would operate independently, select his own positions, engage targets of opportunity. His only restriction was to stay within 500 meters of Finnish defensive lines. Simo accepted the assignment. He began hunting Soviet soldiers the next morning. December 10th, 1939. 7:23 in the morning. Simo was prone in a snowdrift 250 meters from Finnish lines. He had been in position since 5 o'clock. Before dawn. Temperature -38 degrees Celsius. Through his iron sights, he observed a Soviet officer organizing a patrol. 12 soldiers. The officer was visible through the birch trees. Clearly visible. Exposed. Simo controlled his breathing. Slow, steady. Exhaled slowly. Between heartbeats, he squeezed the trigger. The Mosin Nagant barked once. The Soviet officer fell. The patrol scattered, took cover behind trees, shouted to each other. Confusion. panic. They had heard one shot, seen their officer fall, but they had not seen where the shot came from. Simo waited, did not move, did not reload yet, just waited. At 7:31, a Soviet soldier approached the dead officer, trying to help, trying to see if the officer was alive. Simo fired again. The soldier fell. The patrol retreated, ran east, away from the river, away from Finnish lines, away from the invisible threat that had killed 2 men in 8 minutes. Simo remained in position for another hour. No more targets appeared. At 8:30, he withdrew, moved quietly back to Finnish lines. He reported to Captain WWII. 2 confirmed kills, officer and soldier. Range 250 meters. No enemy contact. No injuries. Captain WWII told him to continue. Simo cleaned his rifle, ate black bread and dried meat, drank water, rested for 3 hours. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, he went out again. That night he recorded 4 kills in his personal log, a small notebook. He wrote the date, the time, the range, the weather conditions. Clinical, methodical, like a farmer recording harvest yields. December 10th, 1939. 4 confirmed kills. December 11th. 6 confirmed kills. December 12th. 5 confirmed kills. Over the next 12 days, Simo developed a routine, a system, a method that would allow him to kill Soviet soldiers at a rate no sniper in history had ever achieved. He left Finnish lines before dawn, usually 4 o'clock in the morning. Darkness, cold, quiet. He moved 200 to 400 meters towards Soviet positions. Not too close. Close enough that Soviet patrols would pass within rifle range, far enough that he could withdraw safely. He found concealment, natural, a snowdrift, fallen trees, dense brush, nothing artificial, nothing that would look wrong to Soviet observers. He prepared his position carefully. This was critical. This was what kept him alive. First, he cleared snow from the area in front of his rifle muzzle. When a rifle fires, the muzzle blast disturbs snow, kicks it up, creates a visible cloud. That cloud reveals the shooter's position. Simo eliminated that problem by clearing the snow first. The muzzle blast would dissipate into empty air. No visible disturbance. Second, he packed snow tightly around his body, left only his rifle barrel and his head exposed, minimized his silhouette, made himself part of the landscape. Third, he placed a small amount of snow in his mouth. This was Simo's own innovation, something he had discovered through trial and error. At -40 degrees Celsius, human breath creates visible vapor. That vapor can be seen from 500 meters away. Soviet counter-snipers watched for breath vapor. It was one of the primary ways to locate hidden snipers. But if you held snow in your mouth, the snow kept your breath cold. No vapor formed. You became invisible. Soviet counter-snipers would spend hours searching for Simo Häyhä, watching for breath vapor, finding nothing. Fourth, Simo established his escape route before he ever fired a shot. He identified cover, identified the path he would take, memorized it. So when he needed to withdraw, he could do it without thinking. Automatic. Fast. Then he waited. Soviet patrols moved through the forest every day. They were searching for Finnish positions, searching for weaknesses in the Finnish defensive line, searching for places to cross the river. They were targets. Simo engaged at ranges between 150 and 400 meters. His preferred range was 250 meters. At 250 meters, the 7.62 by 54 mm round had a velocity of 2100 feet per second. Bullet drop was 7 inches. Wind drift was minimal unless the wind was strong. The bullet's energy at impact was 1,850 foot-pounds, sufficient to penetrate Soviet winter uniforms and kill instantly. Simo aimed center mass, the chest, the largest target area, highest probability of hit. He fired once, waited, observed. If additional targets presented themselves, he fired again. But never more than one shot from the same position. This was Simo's violation of standard sniper doctrine. Standard doctrine said fire up to 3 shots before relocating. 3 shots allowed you to engage multiple targets without wasting time moving. But Simo had learned hunting elk that 3 shots allowed the prey to locate you. 1 shot could come from anywhere. The prey did not know which direction to run. But 3 shots allowed the prey to triangulate, to identify your position, to run away from you or charge toward you. Soviet soldiers were the same. 1 shot they scattered, did not know where it came from. Confusion, panic. 3 shots they could triangulate, return fire, call artillery, bring overwhelming force to your position. Simo fired once, then relocated immediately, moved 50 to 80 meters, established a new position, waited. Sometimes Soviet soldiers returned fire at his previous position. Machine guns, mortars, artillery. They destroyed empty snowdrifts, shattered trees where no one was hiding. Simo was already gone. This discipline kept him alive for 97 days. This discipline allowed him to kill 542 Soviet soldiers without being hit, until day 98, when 1 Soviet bullet in thousands fired found him. But that day was still months away. In December 1939, Simo Häyhä was just beginning. He was averaging 5.3 kills per day. The average sniper in World War II would achieve 0.8 kills per day. Simo was 7 times more effective than the average. By December 22, 1939, Simo had 87 confirmed kills. Captain Juutilainen verified each one. Verification required a witness or direct observation of the body. Simo operated alone. So witnesses were rare. But Finnish scouts regularly reclaimed territory after Soviet attacks. They found bodies, single gunshot wounds, center mass or headshots. The bodies matched Simo's reports. The kills were real. The Soviets began to notice. Patrols found dead soldiers. No sounds of battle, no muzzle flashes seen, just dead men. 1 bullet each, precise, professional, terrifying. Soviet officers interrogated survivors. What happened? Did you see the shooter? Where did the shots come from? The survivors all said the same thing. We heard 1 shot. 1 of our men fell. We took cover. Sometimes another shot. Another man fell. We never saw the shooter, never saw muzzle flash, never saw movement. It was like being killed by a ghost. The Soviets gave the ghost a name. Belaya Smert, White Death. The name spread through the Soviet 155th Rifle Division. Soldiers whispered it in trenches. Officers mentioned it in reports. Everyone in the Kolar sector knew White Death operated there. If you went into that forest, you might not come back. Soviet soldiers began to fear the Kolar sector. Morale dropped. Volunteers for patrols declined. Officers had to order men forward. Some men refused. Refusal meant execution by firing squad. But death from White Death seemed certain. Death from execution was only possible. Some men chose execution. The fear was real. 1 Finnish farmer with a rifle had created terror in an army of 1 million, and the Soviets did not even know it was just 1 man. Soviet intelligence estimated White Death was a team of 6 to 8 snipers. How else could 1 position kill so many? It was incomprehensible that 1 person could achieve this kill rate. But it was not 6 to 8 snipers. It was one 5'3" farmer who had learned to shoot elk at age 6, who had memorized every tree in a 20-kilometer radius, who could remain motionless in -40-degree cold for 6 hours, who refused scopes because scopes created glare. One man who had spent 14 years learning that the predator who survives is not the biggest or the strongest. It is the one the prey never sees. On the evening of December 22, 1939, Soviet 155th Rifle Division headquarters held a meeting. "Comrade Colonel, we must address the sniper problem in Sector 7. The colonel looked at the casualty reports. 87 men in 2 weeks, all from sniper fire, all in the same sector. How many snipers? Intelligence estimates 6 to 8, Comrade Colonel. Then deploy counter-sniper teams, 12 specialists, issue them PU scopes. Find these Finnish snipers, kill them all. Yes, Comrade Colonel." The Soviets were sending specialists, trained counter-snipers, men with scoped rifles and years of experience, men who had killed snipers before, men who knew how to hunt hunters. But they were hunting the wrong thing. They thought they were hunting a team. They thought they were hunting 6 to 8 men. They were hunting one farmer. And 8 kilometers away in a Finnish defensive position, Simo Heiher cleaned his rifle. He ate black bread. He drank water from a canteen. He checked his ammunition. 240 rounds remaining. Enough for tomorrow. He did not know the Soviets were sending specialists. He did not know counter-sniper teams were being deployed. He did not know his kill count was spreading fear through an entire Soviet division. He knew one thing. Tomorrow he would go into the forest again. He would find Soviet soldiers. He would kill them before they could kill Finns. That was his duty. Nothing more. Nothing less. And in the forest, in the cold, in the snow, Simo Heiher would prove something the Soviets could not understand. That one farmer who learned to shoot so his family could eat was more dangerous than 1,000 soldiers who learned to shoot because they were ordered to. That patience beats technology. That simplicity beats complexity. That the hunter who cannot be seen cannot be killed. In 7 days, from February 17th to February 23rd, 1940, Simo Heiher would kill 200 Soviet soldiers. He would break an entire division's will to fight. He would prove that one man with the right skills and the right mindset could change the course of a battle. But first, he had to survive the Soviet counter-snipers, the specialists who were coming to kill White Death. That battle would begin in 6 weeks, and it would teach the Soviets something they did not want to learn: that you cannot kill what you cannot see. February 18th, 1940. Dawn. Sergeant Dmitry Petrov and his spotter, Corporal Nikolai Karpov, established their counter-sniper position at 5:30 in the morning, 400 meters from Finnish lines. Temperature -41 degrees Celsius. Visibility 500 meters in the grey dawn light. Dmitry was 32 years old, a career soldier. He had joined the Red Army in 1926, fought in the border conflicts with Japan in 1938 and 39. He was a trained sniper, a good one. 43 confirmed kills in 2 years of combat. He carried a photograph in his coat pocket. His wife, Ekaterina, his daughters Anna and Maria, 8 years old and 5 years old, smiling in front of their small apartment in Moscow. He had arrived at Kolar the previous evening. February 17th, the same day Yuri Volkov died. The same day Simo Heiher killed 16 Soviet soldiers. Dmitry had been deployed with orders to find White Death, kill White Death, end the sniper problem in Sector 7. The previous night he had written in his diary, "Arrived Kolar sector today. Orders eliminate enemy sniper called White Death. Intelligence says 6 to 8 Finnish snipers operating as team. My assessment wrong. This is one man. I have hunted snipers before. teams leave patterns, overlapping fields of fire. Coordinated movements, different shooting styles. I see none of that here. I see one shooting style, one method, one mind. Tomorrow I will find him. I will kill him. Then I can go home to Ekaterina and the girls. Now at dawn on February 18th, Dmitri studied the terrain through his binoculars. Dense forest, birch and pine, snow 3 feet deep, hundreds of potential sniper positions. White Death operates between those two ridges, he said. 300-meter sector. We watch. We wait. Eventually he fires. We see muzzle flash. We return fire. Karpov asked what if there is no flash. Dmitri said there is always a flash, but there was not. At 7:15, a Soviet patrol of 8 men moved through the sector. Standard sweep pattern, searching for Finnish positions. At 7:18, the lead soldier fell. Single shot. No sound louder than a branch breaking. Dmitri scanned through his PU scope. No flash. No vapor. Nothing. 7:19. Second soldier fell. Dmitri saw it this time. Small disturbance in the snow, 280 meters away, barely visible. Just a tiny puff of white. He aimed. Fired 3 rounds. Rapid succession. His rifle barked 3 times. The sound echoed through the forest. Snow erupted where he aimed. Direct hits on the position. Karpov asked, "Did you get him?" Dmitri said, "I do not know. Check it after the patrol withdraws." At 7:25, Finnish scouts checked the position. They found disturbed snow, 3 Soviet bullets embedded deep. No blood, no body. Whoever had been there was gone. Simo had fired twice, then relocated 60 meters south before Dmitri's rounds arrived. He heard the bullets impact his previous position, heard the sharp crack of high-velocity rounds hitting frozen snow. Close. Very close. This Soviet sniper was good, better than the others. He had seen Simo's position, had fired within 3 seconds of Simo relocating. 3 seconds. That was the margin. 3 seconds between being hit and being safe. Simo would need to be faster. That evening, Dmitri wrote in his diary, "I saw where he was. Fired 3 seconds after he moved. He was already gone. This is not a normal sniper. This man thinks faster than I can shoot. Tomorrow I will anticipate his movement. I will fire before he relocates. I will kill him." But tomorrow, Dmitri would fail again. February 19th, 1940. The Soviets tried a different approach. An 8-man infiltration team. They moved at night, entered Finnish territory under cover of darkness, reached a trail intersection 300 meters behind Finnish lines. They established ambush positions at 4 o'clock in the morning, hidden, waiting. Orders were simple. When White Death appears, kill him. At 6:45, Simo approached from the north, moving quietly through pre-dawn darkness, 180 meters from the ambush position. He stopped. Something was wrong. Simo had hunted these forests for 22 years. He knew how they sounded, how they felt, how they smelled. Right now the forest was too quiet. No birds, no small animals moving. The snow was too undisturbed. The trail was too empty. When forest is too quiet, predator is near. Simo withdrew, silently, carefully, moved 400 meters east, circled wide, approached the trail intersection from a different angle. At 7:30, he observed the Soviet ambush team from behind. They were watching the trail to the north, their backs exposed to the east. Simo fired. Soviet soldier fell. The team scrambled, spun around, tried to locate the threat. Simo fired again. Second soldier fell. The remaining 6 soldiers took cover, returned fire in Simo's general direction. Dozens of rounds. Wild, panicked. Simo had already relocated. 80 meters south, behind a fallen pine tree. He fired twice more. 2 more soldiers fell. The remaining 4 fled, ran west, away from the invisible killer who had turned their ambush into a slaughter. 4 Soviet soldiers dead. The ambush destroyed. That night, Dmitri wrote again. He knew. Somehow he knew we were there. He circled, approached from behind, shot 4 men before we could respond. I am hunting a man who sees what I cannot see, who hears what I cannot hear, who thinks 3 steps ahead of me. I do not know how to kill him. February 20th and 21st. The deadliest 2 days. Lieutenant Alexei Sokolov was 28 years old, an artillery officer with the 155th Rifle Division. He had an engineering degree from Leningrad Polytechnic Institute. He viewed war as a mathematical problem. Every problem had a solution. You just needed the correct equation. The equation for White Death was simple. If counter-snipers cannot find him, remove his environment. Sokolov presented his plan to the division colonel. "Comrade Colonel, we cannot find this sniper. He relocates too quickly. He is too well camouflaged. I propose a different approach. Destroy the forest. Artillery saturation. 500 shells per day for 12 days. Remove all cover. Make sniping impossible." The colonel asked about ammunition cost. 180,000 rubles, Comrade Colonel. The colonel approved. Anything to stop White Death. On February 20th at 10 o'clock in the morning, Soviet artillery began bombardment. 122mm howitzers, 500 shells over 4 hours. Target area 1 square kilometer of forest where SEMO operated. The shells screamed overhead, impacted with thunderous explosions. Trees shattered, snow turned to steam. The forest became hell. But SEMO was not there. He had observed Soviet artillery crews positioning their guns the previous afternoon. He knew bombardment was coming. He had relocated 800 meters south before the first shell fell. From his new position, he killed 18 Soviet soldiers during the bombardment, used the artillery noise to mask his shots. Soviet soldiers could not hear his rifle over the explosions. February 21st was the coldest day of the winter war, -45 degrees Celsius, the kind of cold that killed unprotected men in minutes, the kind of cold that froze rifle bolts, that made metal burn skin on contact, that turned breath to ice crystals before it left your mouth. Soviet soldiers wore heavy brown winter uniforms, brown against white snow, visible at 500 meters. SEMO extended his engagement range, 350 to 450 meters. Longer range meant Soviet return fire was less accurate, but it required exceptional marksmanship. At 400 meters, bullet drop was 22 inches. Wind drift at 12 miles per hour was 9 inches. SEMO compensated automatically. 14 years of hunting had made the calculations instinctive. Between 6:30 in the morning and 6 o'clock at night, SEMO killed 63 Soviet soldiers. 4 major engagements, 7 minor contacts, 78 rounds fired, 63 confirmed kills, 81% accuracy. It was the highest single-day kill count of his career. At 8 o'clock that night, SEMO returned to Finnish lines. His hands were bleeding, cracked from the extreme cold. His lips were swollen and split. He could not eat solid food, could not drink cold water. It hurt too much. He had lost 8 pounds in 7 days. He had slept a total of 12 hours, 1.7 hours per day on average. Captain Jutelainen ordered him to rest, told him he did not have to go out tomorrow. SEMO shook his head. "I will go out." 340 meters away, Dmitri wrote his last diary entry. "Today I watched a miracle, not divine, diabolical. 1 man killed 63 Soviet soldiers in 12 hours. I observed through binoculars from 800 meters. Saw patrols enter forest heard single shots, saw soldiers fall, never saw the shooter, not once. This is not combat. This is slaughter. Tomorrow I am ordered to lead patrol into that sector. I have written Ekaterina, told her I love her, told her to tell Anna and Maria about their father. I do not expect to return. February 22nd. The forest destruction began in earnest. Soviet artillery fired not 500 shells, but 1,000. Not over 4 hours, but over 8 hours. The objective was not suppression, it was annihilation. By evening, the forest Dmitri remembered was gone. Trees shattered to stumps, snow black with dirt and ash. No cover anywhere. The landscape looked like the surface of the moon. Barren, dead, destroyed. But Simo was still operational. He had dug shallow fighting positions in shell craters, operated only at dawn and dusk when light was poor, reduced his exposure time to 90 minutes maximum, moved position every 2 hours. His kill rate decreased, 2.8 kills per day instead of 4.7, but he was still killing, still fighting, still invisible. February 23rd, Day 7. Dmitri led his patrol into the destroyed forest at 6:30 in the morning. 16 soldiers. They moved carefully, rifles ready, eyes scanning, searching for any sign of white death. At 6:45, Dmitri saw it, a small depression in the snow, 340 meters northeast, unnatural shape. He raised his binoculars. Too late. Simo fired. The bullet entered Dmitri's chest, center mass, destroyed his heart, severed his descending aorta. He was dead before his body understood what had happened. Dmitri fell. The photograph of Anna and Maria fell from his pocket, landed in the snow beside his hand. 2 little girls smiling, unaware their father had just died 3,000 kilometers from home. The patrol returned fire. 200 rounds in 30 seconds. But Simo had already relocated. From his new position 80 meters west, he killed 4 more soldiers. The patrol retreated, carrying Dmitri's body. That day, Simo killed 20 Soviet soldiers total, including Dmitri Petrov, husband, father, career soldier, good man following bad orders. February 17th through February 23rd, 1940. 7 days. 200 Soviet soldiers killed, average of 28.6 kills per day. Soviet 155th Rifle Division report. February 24th, Sector 7 casualties, February 17 through 23. Killed in action, 200. Wounded in action, 73. Missing in action, 12. Morale critically low. Assessment soldiers refusing patrol assignments. Execution threats required to maintain discipline. Enemy sniper designated White Death has broken divisional combat effectiveness. Recommend sector abandonment. 200 Soviet families received the same letter. Form letter.
3 words repeated 200 times. Killed in action. The bombardment continued. Day 8, Day 9, Day 10, Day 11, March 6, 1940, Day 11 of the bombardment, Day 98 of the war. Simo was in position 290 meters from Soviet lines, temperature minus 38 degrees Celsius. He had been in position for 92 minutes. Had killed 3 Soviet soldiers, 4 rounds fired, 3 hits. At 6:32 in the morning, a Soviet hunter patrol appeared. 6 soldiers, trained anti-sniper unit. They moved carefully, searched the ground, the trees, the snow, looking for disturbances, looking for anything wrong. Distance 320 meters, extreme range for iron sights. But Simo had made this shot before. He calculated. Wind 12 miles per hour from the northwest. Bullet drop 22 inches. Wind drift 9 inches. He aimed high and right, compensated for wind and drop. Exhaled.
Between heartbeats, squeezed the trigger. The lead soldier fell. The remaining 5 soldiers returned fire immediately. Not wildfire, disciplined fire, professional fire. They had seen something. Muzzle flash, snow disturbance, something. 40 rounds impacted near Simo's position in 15 seconds. Very accurate, too accurate. Several rounds hit within inches. Simo could not relocate. The fire was too heavy, too precise. He was pinned down. At 6:33, a Soviet bullet struck Simo's face. The bullet entered his left cheek, traveled through his jaw, shattered 6 teeth, exited through his right cheek. The explosive hydrostatic shock from the bullet's energy tore tissue throughout his lower face. His jaw was destroyed. His tongue was partially severed. Blood filled his mouth and throat. He was choking, drowning in his own blood, dying. But Simo's brain registered one priority: survive. He needed extraction. 290 meters to finish lines. He needed to move, now. At 6:34, Simo began crawling. He left his rifle. First time in 98 days. Crawled through snow. Blood poured from his face, created a visible trail in the white snow, bright red, impossible to miss. The Soviet patrol saw the blood trail, advanced, wanted confirmation, wanted to verify they had killed White Death. Simo crawled, 50 meters in 2 minutes. Pain beyond description, blood everywhere, vision blurring, consciousness fading. The Soviet patrol was 200 meters behind. Closing. At 6:37, Finnish machine gunners on the defensive line saw Simo, saw the blood trail, saw the Soviets pursuing, opened fire. 2 Maxim M0921 machine guns, 600 rounds per minute each, sustained fire. The Soviet patrol took cover, could not advance. The machine gun fire was too heavy. Finnish soldiers ran forward, reached Simo at 6:39, dragged him to Finnish lines. The Soviets withdrew. Simo was alive, barely. At the regimental aid station at 7:15, medics assessed Simo's injuries. Critical condition, massive facial trauma, severe blood loss, airway compromised, blood and tissue filled his throat. He could not breathe properly. They could not intubate. His jaw was too damaged. They performed a field cricothyrotomy, made an incision in his throat below the larynx, inserted a tube. He could breathe, barely. They stabilized him, evacuated him to a field hospital 15 kilometers behind the lines. He arrived at 9:30. Surgeons assessed his injuries. Left mandible destroyed, right mandible fractured, 6 teeth gone, tongue severely lacerated, soft tissue damage extensive, blood vessels severed but had clotted. The clotting saved his life. The bullet had missed his carotid artery by 8 millimeters. If the carotid had been severed, he would have died in 90 seconds. 8 millimeters was the difference between death and survival. Surgeons operated for 6 hours. Debrided destroyed tissue, set fractures, sutured lacerations. They could not reconstruct his jaw immediately. That would require multiple surgeries over years. They focused on saving his life. The operation succeeded. Simo survived. March 13th, 1940. 1 week after Simo was shot, Finland and the Soviet Union signed the Moscow Peace Treaty. The Winter War ended. Finland ceded 11% of its territory. The Soviets gained the Karelian Isthmus. They gained Rautjärvi, Simo's home region, the farm where he was born, the forests where he learned to hunt, all Soviet territory now. Simo's family farm was lost. His childhood home was lost. The land where he had learned to shoot was lost. But Finland survived as an independent nation. The cost was high. 70,000 Finnish casualties, 25,900 dead. Soviet casualties 321,000, 126,875 dead. Exchange ratio 5-1. Finland lost territory, but inflicted catastrophic casualties on the invader. Simo Häyhä personally accounted for 542 Soviet casualties, 505 with his rifle, 37 with his Suomi KP-31 submachine gun in close combat, 542 confirmed kills in 98 days of combat, 5.5 kills per day average, the deadliest sniper in history, a record that has never been broken, a record that will likely never be broken. Simo remained in hospital until July 1940, his jaw partially healed. Surgeons performed 3 additional operations: bone grafts from his hip, reconstruction of his left cheek, realignment of his jaw. The reconstruction was partially successful. His face was permanently disfigured. His left cheek was collapsed. His jaw was misaligned. Extensive scarring. He could speak, but with difficulty. He could eat, but slowly. He would never look the same. But he was alive. On July 17, 1940, Simo was discharged from hospital. He was promoted to second lieutenant, field promotion, recognition for his service. He received the Cross of Kolar, Finland's highest military decoration for winter war service. The medal ceremony occurred in August 1940. Finnish Commander-in-Chief Carl Gustaf Mannerheim personally presented the medal. Mannerheim asked, "How did you become such a good shot?" Simo replied with one word: practice. Typical Simo. Quiet, understated. 2 syllables to explain 28 years of daily training. Simo could not return to his farm. Rautjärvi was Soviet territory. His family had evacuated, relocated to Ruokolahti, 80 kilometers west. The Finnish government compensated families who lost land, provided new farms. Simo received 50 acres, built a small house, resumed farming, resumed hunting, lived quietly, did not discuss the war. When asked about his kills, he said, "I did what was necessary, nothing more." In 1941, Finland entered the continuation war against the Soviet Union. Simo wanted to serve. The army refused. His injuries were too severe. He could not serve in combat. He was assigned to training duties, taught marksmanship to new snipers, taught camouflage, fieldcraft, patience. His students asked about his techniques. He demonstrated iron sights, consistent position, breath control, calm mind, simplicity over complexity. His methods worked. Finnish snipers in the continuation war averaged 2.3 kills per day, higher than any other nation's snipers. Simo's training contributed. After the continuation war ended in 1944, Simo returned to farming. Lived in Ruokolahti until his death. Never married. Lived alone. Hunted occasionally. Attended veterans gatherings. Was recognized. Respected. But remained humble. He refused interviews. When journalists asked about the war, he said, "It was my duty. I fulfilled it, that is all." That is, 542 Soviet families received letters in March and April 1940. The letters were identical. Form letters. 3 words. Killed in action. No details. No explanation. No name of the 5'3" Finnish farmer who had shot their sons and husbands and fathers from distances they would never see. Yuri Volkov's mother in Kharkiv. Dmitry Petrov's widow Ekaterina in Moscow. 198 other families scattered across Ukraine and Belarus and Russia. Yuri Volkov's mother received her letter in March 1940. She was 62 years old, lived in a small house in Kharkiv with Yuri's sister Katya. The letter said,
Killed in action. 3 words, no details. She kept the letter in a wooden box with Yuri's last letter home. The letter where he said, "Do not worry, Mama. I have warm coat." In 1987, a Soviet journalist interviewed her for a story about the Winter War. She was 89 years old then. The journalist asked, "Did you ever learn how your son died?" She said no. The letter said, "Killed in action." I asked the army. They said he died honorably for the Soviet Union. No other details. For 47 years I wondered, was he brave? Did he suffer? Did he have time to think of me before he died? The journalist told her. Your son was killed by a Finnish sniper. Single bullet. Death was instant. He did not suffer. She asked, was the sniper ever caught? The journalist said yes. He was shot in the face. But he survived. Lived to age 96. Died 2002. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, I do not hate this Finnish man. He was soldier like Yuri. War killed my son, not the man who pulled the trigger. Stalin started war. Soldiers died. That is how war works. The journalist asked, do you forgive him? She said there is nothing to forgive. He did his duty. Yuri did his duty. Both were farmers who learned to shoot. Both were sent to kill each other. One lived. One died. That is war. Yuri's mother died in 1990. She never learned the Finnish farmer's name was Simo Heiha. She never learned Yuri was kill number 390 out of 542. She never learned that one man killed her son and 199 others in 7 days. She only knew her son died in a forest in Finland, shot by someone she would never meet, someone who probably never knew Yuri's name either. Dmitry Petrov's widow Ekaterina raised their daughters alone, Anna and Maria. She told them father died fighting fascists, did not mention Finland, did not mention White Death. In 2002 she read Simo Heiha's obituary in Pravda. Deadliest sniper in history, 542 kills, Winter War, Kola sector. She calculated dates. Dmitry died February 23, 1940. Kola sector, same place, same time. She realized, this Finnish farmer killed my husband. A Russian journalist asked her how she felt. She said, I feel nothing. Dmitry died 62 years ago. I grieved. I moved on. I raised our daughters. They have children now. Life continued. But do you hate Simo Heiha? She said no. I hate Stalin. Stalin started war. Stalin sent Dmitry to die in Finland. Simo Heiha did not start war. He defended his country. Dmitry invaded Simo's country. If positions were reversed, Dmitry would have done same thing. Killed invaders, protected Finland. That is what soldiers do. Lieutenant Alexei Sokolov survived the Winter War. He survived the Continuation War. He did not survive peace. In 1949, Stalin's purges resumed. Sokolov was arrested, charged with anti-Soviet activities. The charges were vague. The evidence was non-existent. The sentence was predetermined. Execution. Sokolov was shot in Lubyanka prison, Moscow on November 3, 1949. He was 37 years old. The irony. He had spent 180,000 rubles trying to kill one Finnish farmer with artillery. Failed. Survived war. Was killed by his own government. 542 Soviet families, 542 mothers and wives and children. All received same 3-word letter. Killed in action. None of them knew one Finnish farmer had killed their loved ones. None of them knew the farmer's name. None of them knew he was 5 feet 3 inches tall and had learned to shoot so his family could eat. They only knew their sons and husbands and fathers went to war and never came home. That is what war does. It sends men to forests. Some come home, some do not. The ones who do not come home become 3 words on a piece of paper. Killed in action. In 1998, at age 93,
Simo agreed to one interview. A Finnish historian recorded it. The historian asked, "Do you regret killing 542 men?" Simo said, "I regret that the war happened. I regret that men died, but I do not regret my actions. Soviet soldiers invaded my country. They would have killed Finns. I stopped them. That was my duty." The historian asked, "Do you feel like a hero?" Simo said, "No. I was a soldier. I followed orders. Heroes are men who sacrificed themselves. I survived. I am just a farmer who learned to shoot." Simo Heiha died April 1st, 2002. He was 96 years old. He died peacefully in a veterans' nursing home in Hamina, Finland. He had lived 62 years after being shot in the face. 62 years after the Winter War ended. He outlived the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union collapsed in 1991. Finland remained independent. Simo contributed to that independence. His funeral was attended by 300 people. Veterans, politicians, journalists. The President of Finland sent condolences. Simo was buried in Ruokolahti, a simple grave, no elaborate memorial. Just a headstone with his name, birth date, death date, and one word: soldier. Not hero, not white death, not deadliest sniper in history, just soldier. The rifle survived. Simo's Mosin Nagant M2830 was recovered by Finnish soldiers on March 6, 1940. They found it in the snow where Simo had left it. Blood on the stock. Simo's blood. They returned it to Finnish Army inventory. Serial number 6974. One rifle among thousands. But this rifle had killed 505 Soviet soldiers. The rifle was assigned to another sniper for the remainder of the Winter War, March through April 1940. That sniper used it well, added 37 more confirmed kills to the rifle's history. After the war, the rifle was returned to Sacco factory in Riihimäki, the factory that had manufactured it in 1928. They refurbished it, replaced the barrel. The original barrel was worn smooth from firing more than 10,000 rounds. The new barrel maintained the rifle's exceptional accuracy. From 1945 to 1988, the rifle served at Finnish Army Sniper School. Training rifle. Thousands of students learned marksmanship with Simo Heiha's rifle. They held the same stock Simo had held, looked through the same iron sights, fired the same weapon that had killed 505 men. The instructors told students the rifle's history. This rifle killed more enemy soldiers than any rifle in history. 505 confirmed, all with iron sights, no scope. The students who trained with it understood. Accuracy came from the shooter, not the equipment. In 1988, the Finnish Army recognized the rifle's historical significance. They retired it from active service, donated it to Finnish Military Museum in Helsinki. The rifle is displayed there today. Exhibit case in the Winter War section. Climate controlled, professionally lit. The label reads, Simo Heiha's Mosin Nagant M2830. Used to achieve 505 confirmed sniper kills, Winter War 1939 to 1940. Deadliest sniper rifle in history. The rifle itself is unremarkable. Standard wood stock, blued steel barrel, iron sights, no scope, no modifications, no special features. Just a standard rifle. But in the hands of a farmer who had learned to shoot elk at age 6, it became the deadliest weapon one man ever carried. Visitors to the museum stand before the exhibit case. They look at the rifle, try to understand. How did this ordinary rifle kill 505 men? The answer is on the label, but most visitors do not see it. It is not the rifle. It is the man who held it. Sniper schools around the world study Simo Heiha today. Fort Benning, Georgia, United States Army Sniper School. The instructors teach Heiha's techniques, patience over technology, simplicity over complexity, One shot, relocate immediately. Minimize signature. British Royal Marines Sniper Training Course. They study Hayher's snow-in-mouth technique. How to eliminate breath vapor in cold weather operations. Russian sniper schools study him too, despite being the enemy. Despite killing 542 Soviet soldiers, Russian instructors recognize excellence regardless of nationality. They teach Hayher's terrain memorization methods, how he knew when trees were wrong, when snow was disturbed, when forest was too quiet. Israeli Defense Forces, counter-sniper training. They study Dmitry Petrov's failure, how a trained Soviet sniper with superior equipment could not kill Hayher. The lesson technology does not replace skill. Finnish Army naturally teaches Hayher extensively. He is part of military heritage. Every Finnish sniper learns his story, learns his methods. The lesson is always the same. One man with simple tools and perfect fundamentals beats 100 men with complex tools and poor fundamentals. The lessons Hayher proved in 1940 remain valid today. Patience overcomes technology. Simo waited 4 hours for one shot. Modern snipers with thermal optics forget this. Rush shots, miss, die. Simplicity beats complexity. Iron sights worked better than scopes in extreme cold. Modern snipers overload equipment. Batteries die. Electronics fail. Simple tools work. Calm under pressure. Simo's heartbeat never rose above 65 beats per minute in combat. Modern snipers train for this. Heart rate control, breathing control, mental discipline, adaptation to conditions. Simo invented snow-in-mouth technique, cleared snow from muzzle area, fired one shot instead of 3. Modern snipers must adapt like this. Conditions change, tactics must change. Know your terrain. Simo hunted the same forests 22 years. Modern snipers study area maps, satellite imagery, but they cannot replicate 22 years of walking same ground, knowing every tree, every ridge, every trail, every... Simo Hayher's record has never been broken. 542 confirmed kills in 98 days, 5.5 per day average. The next highest sniper is Soviet Ivan Sidorenko, approximately 500 kills, but Sidorenko operated for 4 years. Simo operated for 98 days. If Simo had operated 1 year at same rate, he would have killed 2,008 men. If Simo had operated 4 years like Sidorenko, he would have killed 8,030 men. The mathematics are staggering. But Simo did not operate longer. He was shot. He survived. He served 98 days. No other sniper has matched this rate. None. And likely none ever will. How did one farmer kill 542 trained soldiers in 98 days? He was farmer who learned patience, hunter who learned invisibility, soldier who refused complexity. He used iron sights when others used scopes. He crawled when others ran. He waited when others rushed. He survived when others died. And when Soviet bullet destroyed his face, he crawled 290 meters through blood and snow to survive. That is Simo Hayher. Not hero, not legend, farmer, soldier, survivor. Man who did his duty. 542 Soviet soldiers killed by one man. 542 families who received letters. Killed in action. No details. No explanation. They never knew one Finnish farmer killed their sons. Never knew invisible man with iron sights decided who lived and died. Never knew their loved ones walked into forests and never walked out. War does not explain these things to families. War just sends letters. 3 words. Killed in action. 542 families. 542 griefs. All because Stalin chose war and soldiers paid the price. The gravestone says soldier.
One word. For man who spoke few words, but whose actions spoke volumes. 542 Soviet soldiers dead. Finland independent.
Simo Heiha buried as he lived, quietly, humbly, without celebration, the way a farmer who learned to shoot would want.